What is truly harder than it looks? I thought fighting would be relatively easy for me in terms of how tired I'd get since I'm a distance runner. Wrong as rubber duck. 5 minutes of going against a punching bag and I was absolutely exhausted. And it's just a bag, not even a person. Fighting for real is actually even harder. Reason being that until you're experienced and confident, you tense up all sorts of muscles that aren't really needed in that situation right at that moment. Burning energy and oxygen much faster than is warranted. I'm talking about competition sparring. The big difference I see between experienced fighters and myself really, is that the people I face are loose and relaxed, moving easily and gently. I'm tight as a drum. Every muscle taut and ready to lash out with a kick or punch. And absolutely exhausted after 2 minutes, at which point my opponent carries the match. That'll improve with time, but right now it's an uphill struggle. One of my childhood buddies has always been a loudmouth even from a very young age. He'd always get beat up for making wisecracks. His dad taught him how to fight, which was basically tiring out the other dude until they could hardly stand and then go in to finish them off. He still couldn't fight worth a damn, but hardly got beat up anymore lol.
Different intensities mean you're working different systems that your body isn't used to. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson.
Everybody has a plan until Mike Tyson bites your ear off. Evander Holyfield, presumably.
Most people gas out pretty quickly. A fight lasting 3 minutes is quite a stretch.
I did karate as a kid, and 2 minutes sparring can be very exhausting. Most untrained people would run out of breath after 30 seconds.
If you aren't trained to be able to keep your calm in a fight, 30 seconds of gas is probably all you can handle. If your breathing is panicked and uncontrolled, that would be the longest, most exhausting 3 minutes of your life.
Yay, I feel ya. Did jiu-jitsu for a while. I was actually alright but never put too much effort in, and even then I was pretty tired after a few minutes of rolling. I do taekwondo, and goddamn if all that kicking and spinning doesn't wear you out. Like at the start I'm all hippity hoppity, I'm Buddha, tear this dude up, then after 2 minutes or so I'm literally gasping like I haven't breathed since the summer of '76.
Gives new appreciation to the real Jason Bournes of the world.
60 seconds is more than enough to make the average person actually vomit from exertion. Most people have no appreciation for what an actual fight feels like. The adrenaline dump alone is enough to make your legs not support your weight for a while after.
Seriously, go hit a heavy bag as hard and fast as you can for 1 minute, just 60 seconds. By the end you will barely be tapping the bag. Now imagine being 10 rounds into a boxing match.
I went 3 rounds sparring once and I couldn't even lift my arm to start my car afterwards.
Did amateur MMA, which is 3/3 minute rounds. Even as a bantamweight, after the end of my first fight my main thought was, how the rubber duck do people do it for 2 extra minutes each round? I'm out of shape now, so even doing 3 minutes of sparring completely gassed me out.
It only looks easy because movies and games keep showing extremely unrealistic representations of it.
As a folk-style wrestler the first 18 years of my life, nothing makes you more winded than 3 minutes of 200% adrenaline.
Currently practicing Muay Thai and used to do Russian Sambo and Judo. You're spot on. That 3 minutes is rubber ducking hell. Limbs are heavy as crap. Lungs on fire. And Therese, this guy in front of me trying to do damage. Brutal. But I love it.
I did wrestling in high school. After 3 2-minute periods, it felt like you had sprinted a marathon.
That first ollie on my skateboard took forever to get down.
Dude, just trying to ride a skateboard takes forever to get down. But when you start to figure things out, it becomes oh so satisfying.
Could never figure it out and would fall off instantly if I managed to stand up on a skateboard, and then I just went skating with my cousin and learned it in a day, with barely even any help from him. I'd cow. Might be the fault of falling enough times.
Ollie was not that hard for me to learn. What got me was learning to drop in. 3 hours of constantly beating the living rubber duck out of my hips. Following all of that, it took me 2 years before I successfully learned to kickflip.
Skateboarding is one of those sports where half of being good/improving is simply having the balls to push yourself. Dropping in is scary as rubber duck your first time slamau.
I finally learned to skateboard at 24 years old. I always wanted to, and one day I went back home for summer and found out they built a skate park near my parents' place. I never learned to ollie, but I did learn to drop in. I remember being surrounded by kids and preteens cheering me on. Specifically one chubby 12-year-old who really encouraged me. One of the weirdest, but funnest summers of my life.